Hi guys, so I know it's been forever and a day since I've done a video. They are still doing lots of construction next door. Yes, that is why I haven't been doing videos. I do apologise about that. But I've been playing a lot of this game called Stranded Alien Dawn. It's very much like RimWorld. It does things a little bit differently and it's just come into early access. I'm seeing a lot of people that are having a lot of trouble dealing with the base defense aspects of the game. I think part of this is down to not understanding the mechanics of the different attacks, but also I think a lot of people have got it into their head that you need to have high walls and shoot over the walls, and you really don't. So what I want to do in this video is first of all explain how different types of attack work, and then show you some demonstrations of an early game attack being dealt with an early game setup, and then a late game attack and setup. Now first of all, to understand is there are two types of main attack. There is technically a third, if we're going to, well actually there's four types. There we go, we'll go with that. Now the first one we're going to go with is what you're going to see here. This is just animals trying to get into your crops. The second type is the normal, you being attacked by X amount of aggressive animals. And they kind of have two subtypes. You've got the ground animals and you've got the flying animals. And then the third type of attack is end game. When you've got a certain setup, all the animals will try and attack you. Not all of them, but certain animals will try and attack you. That one's a different thing, and I'm not going to cover that because that would be a spoiler for anyone who's not gone through the game. Right, so first type of attack is we've got some animals here that are trying to get into our crops. This is not a dangerous attack. These animals, they're not going to path. You can't get them to go through your defenses like in a specific way or anything. That doesn't matter because they're not dangerous. They're not going to come rampaging into your base, and they're not going to attack everyone in sight. They're not really going to destroy your crops too quickly. You have tons of time to deal with these things. They're going to go through your wall. This is a very minor thing to think about dealing with. You don't need to set up defenses for these guys. Just deal with it as and when. But do make sure that wherever you've got your crops set up, that if animals do come through your wall and try and get into your crops, you have an unbroken fence or an unbroken wall except for the entrance to your base. And that's because of how the ground attack animals, the ones that will path, where you'll get like 40, 50, even hundreds of animals attacking you, these ones do path. What they are trying to do is they are trying to get into your base and attack your survivors. If you have no gaps in your walls, they'll try and go through the walls. They'll just choose the easiest path to go through your wall. But if you have an open gap and say walls all around here, what they'll do is they'll path to the entrance of your base, which means you can stack them up and you can kill them easily there. The reason I say that you want a wall between your farms and the rest of your base is that even if these animals go in here and you don't deal with them and you took forever to repair the wall, any pathing would still take this fence into account and they'd still go round. So that's just something to remember. But apart from that, you can deal with these guys as and when. I'll show you that in a second when I stop talking. Now when it does come to the pathing, as I said, they're going to try and take the easiest path into your base, the easiest route into your base. So say for example we had a group of bugs up there, I don't know, 50 of them, and they're going to come in towards the base. What they'd do is they'd come towards this wall here, and they'd follow all the way along this wall here, and they'd go across here to here. Now you might think that they'd go in along the wall and around, but they don't. They go from here straight across to there. They'll do it in a straight shot because that's the shortest path. And then they'll try and go around here and get into your base here. And they'll try and attack your survivors, or if they're on fortifications, they'll try and go through those. We can use that to our advantage. Because, for starters, we can make sure that they're going to go into this part of the base here. 2 flamethrowers to the face will wait for them. And then our turrets here, we can set them up that this turret, as you can see in here, no problem whatsoever. And even though it can't hit these, they're not going to be here. They're either going to go from here to here, or they're going to go from there to there, or they'll be coming in at an angle, or they'll be coming straight in at the base. So that's just something to be aware of. So I will show you an attack and explain more about that defense setup in a second. But first, I just want to show you that how this attack here, they've gone into the base, or they've gone into the farms, and they're just eating. They're not going for the rest of the base. This isn't something you need to be worried about. In fact, if you watch here in a second, when my constructor person comes in to repair the fence, they might even run away. They're not going to attack her. See? They're really not a problem. So this isn't something you need to worry about. They will keep attacking the fence, so you do want to deal with them eventually. But they're not something you need to worry about when it comes to the defense of your base. But the important thing is that by having this wall here, we still have an unbroken wall with only one entrance for when the big attacks come in. Right, so we're going to go ahead and deal with these guys. And then wait for an attack to come in. Okay, so we actually have an attack coming in now, so let's talk about how this works. This is a very early game setup, and all I've got here is a single motion sensor. I've got a machine gun turret, and that is set on the same control circuit as the active circuit for the motion sensor, and I've got 2 flamethrowers. We've already talked about the pathing, so where are these animals? They're over there. Right, so they're just going to come straight towards the entrance here. As long as I've got everyone inside this part of the base somewhere, this is where they're going to go. Right, here comes the attack. Let's get everyone drafted. I mean, they'd be fine inside there, but at the moment we don't have enough turrets to deal with the attack on its own. So we'll get this guy over here. We'll get Ken over here. We'll get... Oh, no, don't want her to close that. We want her to move there. We'll get Vivian there. And we'll get Emmeline there. Right, okay. Let's speed this up. Wait for them to come in. We should see them come through the trees. Yep. You see, they just go straight for the entrance. Now you do seem to have a critical mass of them here to trigger off the flamethrowers. That's fine. If there's not enough to trigger off the flamethrowers, you'll deal with them with no problem. And we've got one there. And where's the last one? He's taking his sweet time. Okay, let's go get him. Is he stuck? He's attacking a tree. Oh, good lord. Right, so that was a sizable attack for early game. Almost 50 enemies, and it was dealt with really easily. So the important thing is to know how to deal with the pathing of the enemies. So that's the first 2 types of attack. The third type of attack is you do get these flying creatures that will be part of the attack. If that's a situation, you do need to just be able to deal with them. You don't get them very often. Getting a turret up, just one turret, will help you deal with them. People having ranged will help, and just get your people outside and near the turrets, and that will just help you deal with them. The final type of attack, as I said, is an endgame thing, so I'm not going to cover that here. I'm not going to spoil anything. But basically, just assume that certain types of animals will be triggered to attack a certain piece of equipment. So think about your base layout for that. I'm going to go ahead and get this expanded a little bit. I'm going to get the base finished up, and I'm going to get some more advanced turrets and everything set up. And I will show you a much bigger attack coming in once I get to that point. Probably going to be, I don't know, maybe a year and a half of gameplay to get to that point. But until then, something like this, and just adding a second turret over here, that will deal with pretty much everything coming in. Right guys, my base has got to the point where it's running nice and smoothly. I'm now at the point where I can start really ramping up the electronics and CPU and power cell generation. So I can start really making myself some nice weapons, putting out more turrets and things like that. But I thought what you might want to see is an intermediate stage that's still perfectly capable of dealing with things, but it's not quite as badass as it's going to be when we get this completely finished up. Also, I do apologise that the sound is off right at this moment. There's a sound in there, some bird or something, and it's just been doing the same sound bite the entire time I've been playing the game. And when I came to start talking here, it was just winding me up. Anyway, this is the setup that I've got at the intermediate stage. So what I've just done is copied this and I've moved it forwards a bit. As you can see, I've now got a second turret. I still haven't added another motion sensor in there, but I have moved the motion sensor up. And I've also made a little bit of space here for me to have my second set of turrets I'm going to do. Now you'll also notice here that I have got walls up along here. Although things will path, and in a moment you will see them pathing straight towards the wall here, you do have one type of enemy that is ranged. It's a scorpion type thing. It's the bigger version of the scorpion type thing. And that will try to hit things without actually going through the gauntlet. But by having these walls here, it just means that it won't try and hit your survivors. So potentially it could take out the turrets in that situation. Once you've got more turrets and we've got pathing to force it to go through the walls and things like that, or go through the area we want it to go through, that won't be so much of an issue because the missiles will be there and we'll have much better weapons and things like that. Talking of weapons, I have now started to get myself some pulse rifles built, and I've got myself a few laser pistols. Right, so we've got those, which are going to make life a lot easier. I'm going to have the person with the rifle here, and you'll see how they'll slow everything down, which will make these more effective. These double ones here, though, they can deal with a lot just on their own. But anyway, what I wanted to do, I wanted to show you this attack. So you'll be able to see, because there is something coming from over there, you'll see they'll get this corner point here, and they'll just path straight across here. They won't go inside there. So the fact that we've got these walls up to protect people from ranged attacks, that won't make a difference, because the turrets can still shoot straight across there, as you can see. Right, so let's get this attack going. I'll turn the sound back on. That's the sound. That's the sound there. It's been doing that non-stop, like every 30 seconds. Better not stop doing it now. Oh, there it is. Okay, right, they're attacking now. So let's just grab everyone. We want the pulse rifle up here, because that will slow everything down. We'll put Ken up there, and we'll just move her over to the side there, and we'll just fill in the other slots for the minute. Once we've got a second pulse rifle, life will be a lot easier. But you'll see that she'll start hitting things with that pulse rifle once they get to here. Or she might actually hit them when they're there as well, and it will slow them right down. So let's speed this up. And we'll see these things coming in. Right, now you watch them here, they'll go around this corner and they'll path straight for that other corner. There you go. You see what she's doing? When she's hitting them, she's slowing them down. You see those double flamethrowers? They're fantastic. Yeah, that was quite handily dealt with, I think. Right, now I'll bring it back in once we've actually got this built up. But I just thought it might be nice to see this intermediate bit here. Even though we've got the walls here, we're still using this bit here to give us nice firing lines, and it doesn't really make much of a difference. Right guys, so I'm finally in the position to kind of show you everything that I was talking about earlier on. I've got a fairly large attack coming in. I've got 4 turrets at the front here. We've got our 2 sets of flamethrowers. My guys go up here to do a little bit of attacking, and I've also got 2 missile turrets. If we click on both of these, we can see that they're set here and here. You don't want the missile turrets right up here, and you don't want them right up here. They will attack things that are here, for example, and by the time they get to the walls, they might actually do damage. In fact, what I might do is just move this target area right on here like that. So as things are coming in, you don't want them to be attacking anything that's going to get to the wall by the time they hit them, because they will do damage, just like the flamethrower will do damage to your walls. But what we'll see as well is that I've got this wall around the outside here. They'll come in and they'll either go this way or this way. And they'll just path in directly to these corners here, which will take them through the path of the missile launchers, which will thin their numbers a bit. The turrets will do a fair amount thinning of the numbers as well. And they'll get into this area here. Our snipers will be able to hit from back here. We've got 2 people that have got the, what exactly are they called? Pulse rifles? pulse rifles. Those will slow anything down, and they'll be able to hit out to here. And then we've got 2 people with laser pistols, just to add a little bit of extra DPS. This should go very quickly, to be honest. It works with even larger animal attacks. I think the largest that I've just left something like this to deal with on its own was about 170 animals. Although I did have a couple of turrets back here just to get anything that did make it through. But apart from that, yeah, it's pretty much exactly the same setup. And I could actually just leave it to go. But let's have a look at this in action. I'll wait for the attack to start. Right, the attack is starting. Let's grab these guys. I'm going to leave my cook in there because I'm currently recovering from all my freezers breaking. So let's put our 2 snipers out here. We will put our pulse rifle one. Oh, we'll just put them there. And we'll put our 2 pistols on either side there. Okay, we'll let this come in. I've also got some of these motion sensors out on the corners, just so as soon as they come in here, see, it's actually, they're already down to 70 before they even get to the wall there. There we go. This does work for even bigger attacks, and it also works for more dangerous attacks. I have been waiting quite a while for a dangerous attack to come along, and they just haven't spawned yet, and I don't know how many hours I've spent getting to this point. So yeah, this method does work. The only thing you might have to be a little bit careful of, which you'd have to be careful of in all situations, is things that can attack your turrets from a range. But generally, because you've got this sort of setup here, they're going to be hit by the missile launchers. Because they'll be sitting about here, they'll get hit by the missile launchers, your turrets will take anything else out. You've got 2 types that will kind of do range attack. You've got these guys here. They will come in and they'll try and hit your walls with an AoE attack. They won't get very far. They're usually very small attacks. And the other one is, let's see if I can find one over by an insect nest. You'll sometimes get these larger versions of these small guys down here. These guys can range from a significant distance away. By significant, I mean about here, maybe a little bit further away. They can start hitting things. But once again, they will path in there and the missile turrets will hit them. And you've got enough turrets to deal with them there. You're looking at a much lower number of them that are going to attack than the regular old bugs. Right, so before I finish up the video, I just want to go back to talking about farms. At the start, I said that you don't really have to worry about them attacking into your farms. And that is true, that when they do try and attack into your farms, all they're trying to do is get to the farms. They're not trying to kill you. But there's a couple of things you can do to make your life easier. The first one is to have some fields out that you just keep them constantly planted. I'm not actually harvesting these. I've got more than enough crops. They might go for these instead, but sometimes they do still go into the walls. The other thing as well is that by having fences around everything, you can actually deal with them with snipers quite a lot as well. So if anything's up at this fence here, any of my snipers that are in there can hit them. So that does make your life a little bit easier as well. But it was just something that wasn't viable to talk about at the start of the game. You could potentially use bows and arrows, but you're not going to really kill anything in time. Whereas as a sniper, you'll take them out in 3 shots. Maybe a little bit longer if it's night time. Another option that you can do as well is if we have a look here with for example, a laser turret. Now, a laser turret will hit quite a large distance away. So we could put these up on platforms in here so they can hit in there. But your issue that you do have is that if you've got, say, for example, let's just put that down so we can click on it. We've got a laser turret here. If you've got something pathing along here and the laser turret starts to hit it, they will try and get through this wall here and get to the laser turret. Now, that's not all bad. I mean, it's not such a bad thing, because even if they take out the wall and they kill your laser turret, they won't try and get in here if it's easier for them to go round. But the problem is whether or not it's easier for them. So if you've got your people here, for example, where I've got mine, I really don't want them coming into here. But if, say for example, this little wall here is broken and your people are up here, they'll probably still go around. But you do have an option. Is what you could do is you could copy this. We could make a thing out here. And we'll just do this so we can see that we're outside the range of that laser turret there. Right, let's click on that again. Let's just copy this. I'm just going to take this out like that there. And then if we were to remove all of this in here, and that would give us a sort of spurs or sort of outcroppings like that. And as you can see, anything that was trying to pathing there, if they're going between there and there, they're not going to get into the range of this. And if they're going between there and there, they're not getting to the range of this. Obviously, that's not an ideal setup. That's just, you know, showing you the principle of that. But honestly, if you've got fences out and you've got snipers, it's really easy to deal with those attacks. And if you've got some farms on the outside or fields on the outside, it also prevents a lot of those attacks. It's not something that is going to make or break your base. Whereas actually getting a good defense down is what's going to make your life a lot easier. You don't need a huge amount of turrets either. This is only 6 turrets. And I keep seeing people put in a ridiculous amount of turrets out. And they've got all their defenses outside walls, which means they can't all work together. What you really want to do is cluster them up and draw them in, like you've been seeing in this video. Right guys, I hope you found this useful. I hope it helps you with building your base and surviving the game so you can kind of enjoy it a little bit more. Catch you all soon guys. Have fun. Bye.